Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to our YouTube channel and welcome to this video. This is the first part for our Java video tutorial series for our payroll management. So basically in this video tutorial series, we will be building our own payroll management, and we will start from our database. And for this application, we're going to be using Java Derby or Java DB. So I'll guide you on how to set up the Java DB or Derby, and we will be using or we will be creating the CRUD functionality for our application. So of course, you need to make sure that you are using the same version of NetBeans as I am. So currently I'm using NetBeans version 8.2, and currently using also Java version 8. So if you want, you can download the copy for this particular version, also for the version for the Java JDK. So I'll just put the link on the description box below. So of course, the first thing that we're going to do here is to create our own database. So we will go here in our services section of our IDE. Now, as you can see here, we have different options to create our databases. We can also specify our servers. Now, you have to take note also that if you're installing the NetBeans IDE version 8.2, you have to include the the Glassfish server, so that because as I've said, we're going to be using Java DB, and the Java DB requires the Glassfish server for it to run. So make sure to include that particular server, so that you'll have the functionality in order for you to run the Java Derby database. So I have here a few databases that I have created, but for now let's just create a new one. So let's create database, and the name for our database will be payroll. Okay, and we have to specify the username and the password, of course. So I'm just going to use root for this, and root also for the password, and I just have to confirm the password by typing it again in this particular box, and then we just click on the OK button for that. And right after that, we can right click this particular item right here. It should contain our tables and views for this particular project. So we have to right click on it and then connect. So you can see here the tables, as I mentioned, views. If you have, maybe in this particular video tutorial series, I will be guiding you how to create views also. And of course, if you have procedures, you can add it also in here. For now, let's just create, for example, employee, just basic database for this particular project. So let's just add employee. Okay, and let's add a column for this, the ID. For the ID, the type should be varchar, and let's just say 11, or the size for this particular column, and then click on OK. And then we're gonna add a couple of columns also here for the first name. So I'm just gonna be using F name. The length should be 50, and also L name, stands for, of course, last name, then 50, and then let's say department. Let's try varchar. For the department, let's just say the size is 50 also. Let's also add a position. Okay. And let's say 50. What else? Let's add rate. Okay, let's add rate. Though you can use the other values here, like for example the numeric or integer, and also double, for example, or decimal for the rate. But for simplicity purposes for now, I'll just use varchar also for this particular column. So varchar or varchar, whatever you want to call it. So let's just specify 10 as the size for this particular column for now. So click on OK and then OK. So now we have this particular table in which we can add record for our employee. Maybe at some point in our video tutorial series, we will add more columns to this. But for now, I think that will do. And let's create our project. So basically this is a brand new project, and let's just select the Java application for now. Click next, and then let's name it as project payroll. Okay, and then I'll uncheck this option, create main class, because we're gonna be structuring our project once we have the project already. So click on finish. So basically it will create the project for us. Now we can create our own packages. So to start, let's try the way I structure my files is that I'm using, for example, a package name, like for example com, and then xemacscode. Okay, and then the name of the project, so for example payroll. Okay, or maybe a company name if you want, but for now let's just stick to payroll. Click on finish. Now what we can do is we can add the mainframe for this particular application. So for now, let's right click on this particular package and then new, and then specify or select the JFrame form. So I'm just gonna name this mainframe. Click on finish. Okay, and I'll resize it just like that. Save it for now, and I'll continue adding packages. So for example, we will create classes. Okay, and also we will be adding models. Okay, and also we will be adding database related classes in here. So database, maybe in the future we will add images. So let's just add icons here. Another one is utils, or maybe at some point in our video tutorial series we decide to add utility classes for our project. So let's just add this for now. So click on finish. So I think that's it, and now let's start working with our database class. So under the database package, let's just right click on this and then click on new and Java class. Okay, and then let's say I have the class name as dbcon or dbconnection. So basically this is the class that will be holding the the connection for our database. Okay. You can remove these lines right here if you want. Let's just remove that for now. So as you can see, the package is automatically added for us. So for example, the package is database, since this particular class is under the database package right here. So in here, I'll just add the connection. So connection, the object name is con. So I'll just import the necessary class reference for this. So it will be from the java.sql.connection. Okay, and then I'll be adding a constructor, or if you want, you can auto generate this particular code. So insert code and then constructor. Click on generate, and then in here we can try to like configure the connection into our database. So for that, we will need the URL for our database and also the driver for our database, which is the Java Derby. Okay. So for now, let's fill this out with a display if something goes wrong with connecting to our database. Okay. So for the URL, you can get that from the services. You can just right click on this particular item, the one that we have created earlier. So the URL, as you can see here, you can click on this and then copy that. Okay, there we go. And then you can get also the driver class right here. Click on that and then paste it here. So in here you can specify class that for name, and that will be the driver, of course. And then what you can do for your connection is that you can like initialize it by using the driver manager. I think it's driver manager that get connection. Okay. So as you can see here, we have to specify the database URL. So if we try to view the documentation, for example, so we will be using this, the URL, the user, and of course the password for our database. So as you can see, we have specified this user and password earlier. So we have typed in, I think if you probably remember this, we use root as the username and also root for the password. So let's comment this one for now. So this is for the username and of course the password. Okay. Now that we have initialized our connection variable, what we can do is add a getter method in here. So what we could do is add a getter method with a connection as the return type. So connection and then get connection. Okay, and then open and close curly braces, and then of course in here you can return the connection. Okay, so we have completed our DB connection class right here. Now what we could do is go back here in our project and then maybe let's try to add a class. Okay, classes. So basically what we could do is do some inheritance for this particular project. So for example, we will be defining a person class, and this will be the parent class for our employee. So the person has the following attributes. As we can see here, we have the ID, the first name, last name, department, position, and rate. Though the rate, maybe we can specify that in the employee class. But for now, let's just define the ID. So for example, private string ID, and then private string fname, because of course all person does like they do have first name and last name, of course. So string and last name. Okay, so we can insert code for our constructor right here. Select all. We can also add a default constructor, though it's not necessary, but let's just add this. Let's move this right before this particular constructor. And also we will generate or insert getters and setters for our person class. So let's click on this, select all, and then generate. Okay, now that completes our person class. Let's go back to our project, and then let's add a new class, which is employee. Okay, and of course this particular class inherits from the person class, so we will extend person class right here. And this particular class has department, position, and also the rate. So let's try that by using string department. Maybe we could add also the gender for our person, but we can do that later on. So private string and then position, private double for the rate. As I've said, we can add gender right here. So private string and then the gender. I think we forgot that. We could also add address. Okay, now what we could do is, instead of deleting this particular constructor right here, we can just insert code and then constructor. Okay, and then let's select all these particular attributes right here and generate. So we have like overloading the constructor right here. We have 3 different versions of our constructor. Now inside our employee, we could also specify a constructor. Insert code, constructor, and we can select all this super constructor right here, and also we can select all for the child class, and then click on generate. So as you can see here, we have this particular super constructor right here. Okay, I mean 3 different versions of our constructors, but we can remove the other 2, because we don't need that. What we could do is specify all the necessary attribute both from our child and parent class person, and then that will initialize our object for this particular class. So let's save, and then of course we can specify the getters and setter for the attributes that is particular to this particular class. Okay. Now, what we could do is we can try connecting to our database, but first we need to specify a model. So this particular model will use our classes or person class, for example. So let's try employee model. Okay, and this employee model, it should have the statement specified right here. So statement stmt. We can also specify the connection object. Let's import this from java.sql. And so for this one, we can create a new constructor. Let's specify the connection as the parameter or argument for our constructor. Now inside our constructor, we will also be we should also initialize our statement. So what we could do here is try to add our try catch statement and display an error if something goes wrong with the during the initialization of our statement. So get message, and then inside here what we could do is say statement equals we're going to be using the connection, so con and then create a statement. So I hope you understand the concept on this particular lines of code right here. So basically we're just passing the reference to our connection object. So this will be, once we invoke the employee model, we will specify the reference to our connection object, and then we will assign it or we will be setting it into our local connection object right here, and then in that way we can use that to initialize our statement. So in here, employee model, we can add method. So for example, we want to get all the employees. So what we could do is add a method right here in order for us to get all the employees inside our database. So it will return a list, of course, and the type of that list will be of type employee. There you go. And then of course the name of our method will be get employees. Okay, so it will not have an argument or parameter, and we will import the employee class so that we can use that, and also the list from the java.util.list package. Okay, and of course let's define a list inside this particular method. So that will be list, and then employee employee list equals to new array list, and then of course the type of this particular array list will be employee, so that we could save all employees coming from our database into this particular list. So there you go. Now what we could do is set up our query or SQL. So we're going to be using string SQL, and then the query for our database, which is select all from, and we need to specify the name of our table, which is employee. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you were using, you know, small caps or lowercase employee right here. And as you can see in our database, it's using uppercase for the name of the table. So though you can also use, if you want, you can also specify uppercase for our table name, but we can use lower cases. Okay, now we can try to add a try catch block right here. Okay, so display something if there's a problem while we select all the employee from our database. So what's next is we can specify an employee object each time we have a result coming from our database. So what we could do is we can specify the result set. So result set rs, let's import this for now, equals stmt. Of course, we're referring to our statement that we have initialized right here. Execute the query, and of course we need to specify the query that we have defined in here. Now we can iterate on this result set. So while result set dot next, meaning if the result set contains something or contains information or contains data or record, then iterate or continue doing the loop. So inside the loop we will instantiate an object. So for example, employee amp1 equals new employee. Okay, so we're doing this because we want to add employee type into our list. So basically later on we will be specifying, for example, employee list that add, and of course the object. Okay, but in here what we could do is specify, because we created, you know, the constructor earlier, this one, as you can see. So we have here the department, position, double rate, first name, last name, gender, and address. Let's try to copy this one for now so that we will have a guide inside this particular loop right here. So let's comment that one. We will use this as a guide to instantiate our object employee. There you go. So the first one will be the department. Okay. You know what, we can arrange this actually if we want. I think it's easier for us if we follow the what do you call this, the order. So the first one will be ID, second will be F name, third is L name, and then gender. We can specify the address first, address, department, position. Yeah, so we can remove this for now. Okay, so we did that because we just want to like follow the order that we have on our database, so that it's easier for us to manipulate our object, or maybe instantiate our object later on. So just like in here. Okay, let's copy that and paste it in here. Again, we're just doing this so that we have, a guide in instantiating our employee object, so that we will know which attribute comes first, right here. So what we could do here is we can get a string. The first one, of course, is ID, as we have here. And as you can see, it's much easier now. So we have F name, DL name, gender. We don't have a gender right here, so we can add a gender. So gender, let's try 10. Okay, gender, and also the address. We forgot the address. Address. So it will be 200 for the size of our address. So gender and address. We have department. We have position, and of course lastly that will be the rate. Okay, and of course we need to get double from this, because as you can see, the data type for our rate is double, so that's why we need to specify also to get the double from our database. So now that we have that employee object instantiated by using this particular constructor right here, so we added that into our list of employees, and of course we need to return the employee list, because it's complaining right now that we are not returning anything of type employee or list employee. So we need to return employee list. There you go. Okay, so for now, let's make use of our mainframe. We can specify or add a method right here to load all employees. So load all employees. There you go. We can create this method inside this particular class. Okay. Now, what we could do is add also the connection. So import the connection. Okay. What we could do is say db connection is, we're just creating a dbcon object out of our dbconnection class. So import that, and in here what we could do is assign or add a reference of the db connection into our connection or local connection object. Okay, so dbcon equals new db connection. Okay, now the connection will be a reference from this get connection method right here, because as you can probably remember, our get connection will return a connection object right here. Okay, so save that, save our mainframe.java, and also in here what we can do is use our employee model. So em equals new employee model. Okay, and we need to import this, of course. It's complaining right now because our employee model expects one parameter, which is the connection, right? So let's specify that, and we're confident that this particular connection has the value because we already set that inside our mainframe constructor. Okay, so what we could do is add a list right here, because our get all employee method or get employees method right here returns a list. So that's why we need to specify also the list equals em, which stands for our employee model, which has the get employees method. Okay, we need to import the list and also the employee class. Okay, now what we could do is actually we can add a toString method inside our employee. For now, let's override the toString method for this. So toString, we need to override that, and for this we can return a string with the format, with this particular format. So what we could do is specify %s. This is just a string placeholder where we can specify each value for our attributes. So for example, the ID, the first name, the L name, the address, yeah. Okay, so I think what we could do is let's not override this one for now. We can revisit this later, but for now, in here we can add a for loop. We just want to iterate the list right here, and then the list employee will be we will be displaying all the employees. So list that get, and then the index is I, and then of course we can say get the ID, what else, the first name, I think it's first name or F name. Get F name, there you go. And lastly we will specify the last name, list that get I, and then get L name. Okay, so if you have the toString method for this inside your employee, it is much easier because you don't need to, specify the ID, the first name, last name. But yeah, eventually we will be revisiting that class. We will be overriding the toString method for the employee and also the person class. So for now, let's stick to this and let's hope for the best. Let's run our program. So basically, we're getting a null value right here. Okay, that's because we need to specify the driver for the library for the Java Derby. So we can add that, add library, and you have to specify this Java DB driver. Okay, and then add library. Then you will see all this driver right here, the derby.jar, derby client, and derby.net. Okay, and also we need to center our frame. So let's click on that in properties and go to code and then generate center. So yeah, now let's run our program once again. Should be getting no employee listed in here, and that's because we don't have employee record yet. So if you want, you can add a new record here. Okay, so all you have to do is right click on the table name and then view data, and then click on this plus icon or the insert record icon. So for example, the ID is 2008 0991. The first name is John, the last name is Doe, department is IT, position technician, rate, let's make this 5,000 for now, gender is male, the address is New York. Okay, so we have that. We can add another one, so add row, let's say 2002 0091, F name, maybe what's the cool name, Alex Smith, and then the department is HR, position is clerk, the rate is also 5,000, gender is male, and then the address is California or Los Angeles, yeah, California. Okay, and this is New York. And okay, now that we have that, of course we should be getting an output of our employee. So as you can see here, we have employee with this particular ID and the name, the first name and last name. So we can also specify the address, the rate in here in our load all employees. And later on, we will be using that. We will be using this load employee method to display the employees inside our table. Okay, so I think that's all there is to it, guys, in this particular video tutorial. This is just the first part of our video tutorial series for the payroll system using Java. So if you have questions, please let me know in the comment section below. And yeah, thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.